Yeah, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here, and today happens to be the 15th of June 2022. The market landscape is very confusing. We have the quadruple witching coming up. We have a potential 75 basis point hike coming up. Let's try to make sense of all this. Let's get started with our daily update. Let's start off with the very first news article I have here. It says, do CRISPR and Vertex have functional cure for blood diseases? And when I look at the details in this, it says CRISPR therapeutics could have functional cure for two inherited blood diseases, analysts said on Monday, but CRISPR stock plummeted, right? So CRISPR stock tumbled 13.3% to 55.27, and shares of CRISPR partner Vertex fell 3.7% to 245. Their moves into the red reflected a similar dip for biotech stocks. So why I'm reading this particular article is that I did get a feedback from one of our subscribers saying that Bluebird, there is a potential to make maybe 2 times, 3 times the money because it's going to go up. I do agree with that. I do agree that there is a potential. But the question basically is how active an investor are you and how sophisticated an investor are you? Because in this particular markets, you need to be alert. You need to understand all your options, like whether you're going to put a call or whether you're going to sell a put, and how you're going to use that to insure against your situation. And also, you need to be around the terminal so that whenever there's an opportunity, you can just sell and book the profits and avoid getting stuck in a downward trend. So that's the reason why I'm pointing out to this article. Because analysts may look at the fundamentals, but we are at the mercy of the market. Now, I'd like to tell you one more thing about it. I'm not saying retail investors are stupid or anything. We are all retail investors, and we have limitations. Our limitations is that we have a day job and we also invest. That is number one. The second limitation is that we have limited funds and we are less sophisticated than the professional traders whose job is to trade. They are on the terminal for 8 hours a day. They have access to expensive resources of research, and they also use puts and they use calls, and they have access to a lot of experts who can tell them inside information about a particular technology. Like in our case, we are looking at all the press releases and trying to make sense of where each of the company's pipeline items have reached. Whereas with the sophisticated investors, they would have experts in genomics who are giving them feedback on the progress of various therapies. And so they are much better informed and they can react at a much faster rate than retail investors. That's the reason why I published the view that Bluebird and other genomic stocks should not be bought during this dip. I meant the dip that has happened just recently. I'm not putting a blanket dip because dips happen for various reasons. The dip that happened yesterday was crazy for Bluebird because it took off crazy and it came back crazy, and it came back to the level where it was before. So those are the kind of irrational things that we need to avoid. That's the reason why I was showing you this article. The next article I want to talk to you about is that the CRISPR pioneer wants to capture more carbon with crops. This particular headline really attracted my attention because this is in line with what our overall goals is as a civilization. We want to reduce the carbon in the environment so that the global warming can be reduced. And what better way to do it than to make plants inefficient in especially hot areas where they need more carbon in order to synthesize the food. So this is a very good development because now the same amount of farmlands can consume more carbon and convert them into oxygen and therefore cool down the earth. So I hope this proceeds further properly and we are able to make some real inroads into curbing global warming. And then the next item I have for you is this heading out here, which says US futures climb ahead of Federal Reserve's rate decision. The euro is soaring as ECB calls a surprise meeting. So I'd like to unpack this. First of all, I don't see any reason why the futures have to climb because Federal Reserve's rate decision is coming. What's going to happen when the Fed puts a 75 basis point hike on the books? What is going to happen is that money is going to be mopped up from the market, demand is going to be destroyed, and as a result, there is going to be reduced profits for various companies. There is going to be more unemployment as companies shut down some lines of production because they are no longer viable. So why is it a reason for US futures to climb? I don't know. If any of you have an answer to that, please put it in the comments below and let us discuss that. Now, if I look at it in a different way, when they say the euro is soaring as ECB calls a surprise meeting, I'm talking about euro soaring, which is logical because if you're going to get more interest putting your money in euro, money is going to get into the euro, and therefore euro will go up in exchange rate. Now, what is happening out here is the euro is going up against the US dollar. So one way of looking at the reasons why US futures can climb is that so far US has been shouldering the weight of the entire world because all the funds from all over the world were fleeing inflation and coming into the US dollar for security and higher interest rate because US was increasing the interest rate ahead of others. And ECB did not do that for the longest time. But now that ECB has started increasing the rate, it is also shouldering the global responsibility along with the US dollar. And therefore, the US dollar is not going to cause more demand destruction within the US because the imports are not going to be as cheap as they used to be earlier because Europe is competing now for the imports. So therefore, the demand destruction and the closing of manufacturing facilities and increase of unemployment within the US is going to be tempered down a bit. So that's another way I can interpret it. But overall, it doesn't make sense to me why a 75 basis point hike should let the futures climb. And when we can see that whatever climb is happening at this point of time is going to drop off in a day or two, there is no point getting into that trade unless you're going to be alert enough to sell calls and you're willing to keep your money in the portfolio and not book your losses for a longer period of time if the market doesn't come up after the dip. So there is a lot of risks in here. So it's not for the amateur trader, it's not for the retail trader, this is for all the professionals to play in. So I'm personally staying out of it because I'm recording videos for this YouTube channel for 4 to 5 hours. I hardly get 3 hours to trade. And I don't think I'm going to be agile enough and smart enough to move in and out of the markets. That said, I'm going to look at this other headline in Yahoo Finance. I seem to be constantly at loggerheads with Yahoo Finance. Yesterday also I had one of their headlines that I disputed. They said buy the dip. I said don't buy the dip. Today they are saying don't be duped by doomsayers. JP Morgan says the S&P 500 will rebound to 4,900. Here are 3 stocks it's using to bet on a bounce. So I would consider myself to be a doomsayer at this point of time, and I have already put a video to you during the weekend. And yesterday's end of day video was also another resounding doomsayer thing from myself. So you know that I'm a doomsayer, and these guys are saying you should not believe me. So here is the proposition. What is happening to the entire economy, global economy? Everyone is in the doldrums. Nobody is in any good shape as such. China has not yet completed its COVID lockdown and announced that they're going to open up for the market and start sending goods to us. So there is no chance that the supply chain bottleneck is getting resolved anyway. And there is no news of Ukraine-Russia conflict getting over. So how is the world going to get its gas and its wheat? And if wheat and gas are not available, how can we avoid stagflation? It beats me how we have headlines that, like these. I think that this is all meant to cheat the retail investor who is not looking at macroeconomics, who is not aware of the geopolitical situations, and who doesn't have the rudimentary understanding of demand and supply. That's my thoughts. I might be totally off base and wrong. Please put your comments and let me know what you think about this, but I don't buy this headline. And that said, I think I would like to go ahead and look at our NASDAQ and all the indices. Let's start with the futures. The futures are up 0.77%, and each of these candles here are daily candles, and this is the candle for today. And it's up, it started above where it ended yesterday, and it has continued to progress upwards, but it is still within the shadow of day before, that is the 13th of June. And therefore there is not much of a qualitative difference out here, but overall it is it's positive, it is bullish. It could also be a relief rally after the brutal fall that we had. And then we are looking at indicators and going to US oil. US oil is also showing us a positive trend for us. It's also dropping, which means it's going to ease the inflation. Its effect on the inflation is going to go down. US dollar has got 1, 2, 3, 4 days of red candles in a 5-day period. That is good in my books. And we are also below the line of support that we had for the bullish channel. And now we have a line of support for a bearish channel that is likely forming. And we have got 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points in here, 5 touch points actually. So it's a strong line of support. So if we start gradually coming down here for oil, it will be good for the markets. So this is also looking good. And then next, let us go on to look at the US dollar index. US dollar index is coming down. That means money is coming out of US dollar, and it's likely to go into the stock market, gold, crypto, and other assets. So this is also good for us. Then I would like to go and have a look at our VIX. The VIX is forming a perfect doji for today. This is the candle for today. As you can see, there's a thin body and 2 wicks on either side. So VIX is not very clear what it wants to do. It's waiting for more information and more cues. It's 7:28 a.m. in the morning. It's rather early. So things might start developing a little bit later. And next thing we have to do is go and look at the 10-year yields. 10-year yields are coming down. This is a bit bearish as far as the stock market is concerned, because money coming out of the US index probably is not going to go entirely into the NASDAQ and crypto, because some of it is going into this treasuries. And then let us look at our NASDAQ, that is QQQ. And you'll see that in case of NASDAQ, pre-market, it's up 0.93. So our 273.09 support is still intact. And if I was to look at the diagonal line out here, if we are at 278.46, we are definitely above this diagonal line. We are somewhere out here, which is above where we ended the day yesterday, and it's also above where we began the day yesterday. So it's all looking good at this point of time for a dead cat bounce or a relief rally to take place. The spoiler out here is the 75 basis point hike, which in my heart I know is going to destroy demand, and it's going to cause companies to reduce their profit estimate and therefore share prices to fall. So that's my fear. It's what is coming down the pike at a later time. And if I was to look at S&P 500, we can see that S&P 500 is up pre-market at 376.49, which is somewhere out here. 376.49. It's going to be somewhere out here where we started yesterday. And therefore, I think this is also looking good at this point of time for a relief rally. With that said, I'd like to go and have a look at our crypto and gold and see what they are doing. So if I look at the crypto sector, I'm looking at Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin is down to 20,998 in that region. We still have support from 20,233. But once we fall below that, I'm afraid that it's going to be a steeper fall, because I think our next support is going to be somewhere around 12,000, if I'm not mistaken. Let us look at the support level. 12,981 is the next support after that, in my opinion. And that's not a good situation for Bitcoin to be in. Let us look at gold. Gold has come down 0.80%, and the MACD is crossing over to the signal line, and we also have the momentum falling, so it's not looking good for gold. So probably money is going into US Treasury, and the yields are going down. So that seems to be the story for the day. So NASDAQ is probably gaining a little bit of a relief rally, and other asset classes are not. And hopefully Bitcoin will also follow the cue from NASDAQ and start recovering. Otherwise, it's in for a lot of trouble, lot of pain. it could fall all the way another $8,000. That's a big dip for Bitcoin, in my opinion. That said, let's go and have a look at genomics stocks. So here we are with our genomic stocks. CRISPR Therapeutics is up 5.14%. Beam is up 3.25%. Allogene is up 2.94%. These are all the leaders, and the biggest leader among them is CRISPR Therapeutics. So probably it will gain a little bit in the morning, but give up more than it gained by the end of the day. That's my expectation for the market today. And all the shares that did really bad, like Bluebird, is going to recover a lot today. So it's basically a balancing act. And this is not something I'm talking to you from a technical analysis perspective, but simply in terms of the market psychology. The shares that have been oversold, like Bluebird, for example, it had some good news. It definitely needed to go up, but not high as 66%, and it need not have fallen as much as minus 16% yesterday after giving up the entire gains. So those kind of things will get balanced. So Bluebird definitely is going to be positive today. So Bluebird is already up 0.25% in the pre-market session. Now, if you look at the other end, CRISPR Therapeutics, it's up 1.53%. Definitely, it's going to gain a little bit. But when the market starts to turn after the 75 basis hike announcement, and when the market decides that there has been enough of relief rally and decides to turn around, at that time, CRISPR is likely to lose much more than Bluebird. So that's the kind of psychology that I think is going to operate in the market, regardless of all the technicals. And the technicals are all past performance. And as they say in the mutual funds, past performance do not guarantee future outcomes. So we have a situation here where, for example, CRISPR is tightly poised on this support of 53.44. It has tested it twice here, and there's a good chance that it's likely to go up. But we have the MACD crossing over the signal line and becoming bearish. At the same time, the momentum is pointing upwards. So there is mixed forces acting out here. We don't know which way it's going to go. Pre-market indicates bullish. So there could be bullish trend, but around 10:30, you will see what the professional traders are doing. And then again, somewhere close to 3:30, you will see a change in the direction. So I'm thinking that we are going to go up in the morning until 10:30, then we are going to go down, and probably a slight relief rally towards the end of the day. That seems to be the way I think this market is going to go today. Again, all of these are my personal opinion. I don't claim to be an expert. Some of you out there who are watching this video might know better than I do, but I would like to operate within my risk parameters, and I'm not doing any trades today. I'm just going to watch what's happening and stay in the sidelines, because I'm not agile, I'm not nimble, and I can't spend all the hours in front of a trading platform in order to capture all the gains. And as you can see, the VIX is still way above 20, so it's not placid waters to do a bit of day trading or swing trading. So with that said, I'd like to end this video. Thanks to all our subscribers for supporting this channel. If you like this video, please press a like out there. And if you have not been a subscriber yet, why not? Please subscribe and help us grow this community. Thanks and have a great day. Safe trading there. Bye for now.